Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our nightly update regarding the events in the Atlantic Basin and beyond. And tonight, we've definitely got a couple things to discuss here. Obviously, we've got Hurricane Erin continuing to grow in overall size. And then we also have our other area of interest out here, highlighted in the National Hurricane Center's tropical outlook. And there is more waves that are continuing to exit the African mainland. It's that time of year. We take a look at the main page of the National Hurricane Center. We currently have, with our area of interest out here in the main development region of the tropical Atlantic, we have a wave that has a 10% chance of development over the next 48 hours and a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. The overall development percentages have been slightly increasing, kind of every other run, really. We're getting a 10% increase here and there. And there is the opportunity for this to develop, and we'll kind of go over that in a little bit more detail here after we get done with the particulars on Erin. As you could see, Erin doesn't have that well defined, clear eye on satellite view here this afternoon, but is still a very, very formidable storm. If we flip this over into the infrared image and kind of give this just a second to load, as you could see, still very large, very powerful. There's still a very discernible center of circulation, but the good news is that it is finally starting to turn in north and get a little bit more of a northerly heading. But on the flip side, we have new watches that have been issued from the National Hurricane Center. So, as of the 5 p.m. advisory, we are currently located at 24.0 north, 71.3 degrees west, about 895 miles southwest of Bermuda, or 695 miles, my apologies, and 815 miles south-southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Maximum sustained winds still remain at 140 miles an hour. Movement is now northwest or 310 degrees at 10 miles an hour, with the minimum central pressure holding rather steady throughout the day at around 937 millibars. The changes with this primary advisory, we now have tropical storm watches issued from Beaufort Inlet to Duck, North Carolina, including Pamlico Sound. And we also have a storm surge watch that has been issued from Cape Lookout to Duck, North Carolina. And we also have tropical storm warnings in effect for the Turks and Caicos and the southeast Bahamas, with the tropical storm watch in effect for the central Bahamas as well. So we've got a lot to discuss here tonight. As you can see, with the hazards affecting land, and I stress this, I can't stress this enough. This is the most important portion of a public advisory issued from the National Hurricane Center. And as you can see, we've got quite a bit to go over here tonight. So, rainfall. Outer bands of Erin will produce localized areas of heavy rainfall across portions of Hispaniola this evening and through Tuesday for the Turks and Caicos, the southeast Bahamas, and the easternmost central Bahamas. Additional rainfall of 2 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts to 6 inches are forecast. Our wind. Tropical storm conditions are expected through this evening across the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southeast Bahamas. Tropical storm conditions are possible in portions of the central Bahamas tonight through Tuesday. Tropical storm conditions are possible over portions of the North Carolina Outer Banks beginning late Wednesday. Our surf, and this is, I'll show you the models on this. This is absolutely insane. This is going to be like a historic wave maker. Swells generated by Erin will affect the Bahamas, Bermuda, the east coast of the United States, and Atlantic Canada during the next several days. These rough ocean currents will likely cause life-threatening surf and rip currents. Please consult products from your local weather forecast office for more information. Best advice I could give with the wave action and the currents that are coming, stay out of the water this week. If you are planning to go out to look at the waves and the action that is along the shoreline, please don't get in the water. We do not need statistics. From what I'm understanding, and through Keith, one of our team members here, he has reported multiple water rescues having to be done at Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina this afternoon. So that's serious, and we do not need anybody to become statistics. Storm surge. We're looking at minor coastal flooding as possible in areas of onshore winds in the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southeast Bahamas. Near the coast, the surge will be accompanied by large waves. But if we look a little further into this, we are looking at Cape Lookout to Duck, North Carolina, with a storm surge forecast of 2 to 4 feet above dry ground. So we're getting into where this storm, yes, it's shooting the gap. If we take a look with our key messages, we've kind of gone over everything already through the public advisory, just to let everybody know that all of that is also included there on the key messages. But if we look at the overall track, the storm itself is going to be a couple hundred miles offshore at its closest point, but the storm is going to be so large that the overall wind field is most likely going to clip North Carolina here, and that's why tropical storm watches have been issued, because this storm is going to be monstrous in size. This will be more or less along the lines of kind of like an October storm, but in August. So, yeah, get prepared for this one, because I'm going to show you the forecast wind field on this, and it's insane. It really is. So let's go through our discussion here tonight as of the 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time advisory. Erin's cloud pattern has become somewhat less organized than earlier today, likely as a result of some dry air intrusion over the northwestern portion of the circulation and increased northerly shear. An AMSR microwave image from the GCOM satellite showed dry air intrusion, which is consistent with the presence of arc clouds emanating northwestward from the system. The northerly shear has also begun to restrict the outflow to the north of Erin. The intensity is held at 120 knots for now, pending observations from another Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft in a few hours. This intensity estimate is also consistent with a blend of objective values from the University of Wisconsin, and we've got those up here to show you here in a moment. After a west-northwestward wobble earlier today, the hurricane has resumed its northwest course with a motion estimate of 310 degrees at 9 knots. The track forecast reasoning remains basically unchanged. Over the next 72 hours or so, Erin should turn northward and move through a weakness in the subtropical ridge and on the western side of a mid-level anticyclone. Later in the forecast period, an approaching mid-level trough should cause Erin to accelerate northeastward over the northern Atlantic. The model guidance and low level water vapory imagery suggests that dry air incursion into Erin is probably temporary. However, given the degraded cloud pattern and the less conducive shear over the system, not much additional strengthening is likely. In any event, since the system will remain over warm waters for at least the next 72 hours, Erin will likely retain major hurricane status through the middle of the week. The official intensity forecast is at the high end of the model guidance. Erin's continued expanding wind field will result in rough ocean conditions over much of the western Atlantic. It should be noted that the 34 and 50 knot wind speed probabilities, but beyond 36 hours, in the text and graphical products are likely underestimating the risk of those winds occurring. This is because the forecast wind field of Erin is considerably larger than average compared to the wind field used to derive the wind speed probability product. As we could see, good news, thankfully, they have brought to what they believe is the maximum intensity of Erin here over the coming days. And now at 140 miles an hour, with a slow weakening through the next 60 hours, still maintaining major hurricane status. So, regardless, the overall wind field on this is going to be so large that it's causing storm surge forecasts for a good amount of the East Coast here, and it's going to be hundreds of miles offshore. So please keep that in mind. This is the perfect example of to where we will see impacts that are well outside of the cone. Now, this one just so happens to be well above average and for being well outside the cone. This one is taken well outside the cone to a whole nother level. So as we could see, we've got 1 to 3 feet forecast from South Santee River up to Cape Lookout. Through the bays and the rivers up here, 1 to 2 feet, maybe even 3 feet into Pamlico Sound as well. 2 to 4 feet from Cape Lookout to Duck Island, especially on these barrier islands. The wave action that is going to be accompanying these 2 to 4 foot water rise are going to be probably nothing less than historic. I would imagine that we are going to be looking at images of severe coastal erosion as we get into the latter part of this week and this event has gone by. I'm expecting to see pictures of sand cliffs where there is a literal few foot drop off at the beach. And I hope that the wave action really doesn't eat into the dune structure and we lose homes here on these islands getting out here in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And then from Duck to Paramore Island and inland into parts of southern parts of Chesapeake Bay here, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. Our rip currents. Now, if you guys have been watching for the last few days, if you can remember me telling you a few days ago, I told you at one point in time that this whole thing is going to turn red. Well, as you can see, here is today's rip current forecast. We've got high risk here along the Florida East Coast and getting into southeastern Georgia, and then from Virginia stretching up into portions of New Jersey. Well, take a look at tomorrow's action. From basically the West Palm Beach area all the way up to Cape Cod. High risk of rip currents. Stay out of the water. I cannot stress this enough. The wave action that is coming is going to be insane. And if you do go out to take a look, if you do go to the beaches, please make sure do not get too close, uh, because there is going to be some massive, massive waves associated with this, and we'll take a look at that here momentarily. Rainfall forecast, as you can see out over the open water. I was reading a paper or write up today about how this impacts, all of this rain impacts potential upwelling and mixing, and how that kind of protects some of the lower depths of being drawn up to the surface. It's a very interesting read. If anybody would like it, just let me know and I will get it for you after the live stream. Our earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds, as we could see, Wednesday in and around noon, afternoonish. That is our earliest reasonable arrival time of winds here for the folks in the eastern portions of North Carolina. As for the folks here into the central Bahamas, especially the easternmost islands of the central Bahamas, yours is kind of in a now casting situation. It could be any time, being that the way that this wind field is acting and playing. It's growing at a very, very large and expansive rate right now. With the overall size of the storm as well, it is trading in its, it's trading in its intensity energy for overall size and width. And this is going to be, this one is going to be a historic wave maker. I know that there's going to be surfers from everywhere are going to be coming to the east coast of the United States. But for the folks that do not have the experience with, years of surfing or whatever, please just stay out of the water. Stay out of the water. That's all. I am begging folks to stay out of the water. This one is not going to be pretty. So the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds is going to be overnight Wednesday, getting into Thursday morning. For the folks here in North Carolina, maybe clipping the Wilmington area, just maybe. But I've got graphics and products that'll show us the overall, at least the thought of the wind speeds from the Euro and the GFS and how they differ. The tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, as we could see here, this is going to be huge, folks. We've definitely got the 20 to 30% range here for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Bermuda, as this turns and goes by, you're still about 24 hours behind impact points of North Carolina. We just received the tropical storm watch issuance for North Carolina. So if a tropical storm watch will be issued for your location, it should be in an approximately 24 hours or less from now. Getting into the forecast advisory, this is where things get crazy. How we read this is we've got our 64 knot winds, our 50 knot winds, and our 34 knot winds. So that's our hurricane force, our severe storm force, and then our tropical storm force. And the severe storm, that's 58 miles an hour. That is the criteria needed for a severe thunderstorm warning on land. So it is basically considered your severe storm. This is when a lot of your power outages and stuff like that would take place in these 50 knot winds. Well, as we could see, our wind field, it shows here in quadrants. And the quadrants, with the circle here, we are going to draw some lines here. And we've got our quadrants. You have northeast, southwest, southeast, and northwest quadrants. So that's what this particular product represents. And how far out the overall winds of a certain speed stretch from the center of the storm itself. Okay? Right now, we have tropical storm force winds stretching out 200 miles on the eastern side, 170 miles in the northwestern quadrant, and 140 miles in the southwestern quadrant. But this storm is forecast to grow and grow considerably. So if we get it down here to when it is going to be in the, I would say, kind of the closest proximity to the Carolina region. And if I undo this, we'll just go ahead and highlight both of these because of its latitude and longitude. So this is going to be into the time frame of the closest approach. What we have is our tropical storm force winds in the western side stretching out 200 miles. As it is, and it's still expanding because it is 220 miles now to the southwest and to the northwest. Now, for our folks in Bermuda, when we get, as it is passing by, you have 290 miles to the southeastern quadrant of expansive wind field. So the storm, 290 miles, will be wind field expanded in that general direction. And that's quite a bit. So it could get there and potentially cause watches issued for the island of Bermuda. And I mean, it's crazy. The storm is so large that it's most likely going to end up creating watches and warnings on the easternmost point of North Carolina and Bermuda almost simultaneously. And that's just insane with the size of this. With by day 5, as it is lifting up and out and racing off into the North Atlantic, the wind field is forecast to be some 600 miles. And this could be an underestimation of what we're looking at. So the storm, although we're not looking at any kind of direct impact, but we're definitely, the overall size of this is pretty much going to spread out peripheral impacts to a whole bunch of people. Right now, in this, we've already been told that anything over 36 hours with this particular product is potentially underestimating. Right now, we're looking at a 33% chance of our 34 knot winds into Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. And that's probably an underestimation. Morehead City, we're looking at 21%. So, Myrtle Beach, you're only at a 7. And Wilmington, North Carolina, you're at a 6. Surf City, North Carolina, you're at a 14. But please keep in mind that the discussion has already mentioned that these could very well be underestimated. And Bermuda, right now, 16. So I'll be keeping a very close watch on these numbers, and we'll check back with them tomorrow night as we start to get within that 36-hour potential period, and see how those numbers react to a much shorter term forecast. Now, our waves. This is the European maximum wave height model. And folks, this is nuts, especially for the southwestern Atlantic. So as we continue to run this forward, as you could see, I'm going to stop this here at 36 hours. And I'm going to need my crayons because, as you can see, we have onshore wave action to the entire portion of the east coast of the United States. The whole thing. All right. Literally the whole thing. This thing is going to be churning out some unbelievable amount of waves. As I continue to draw this forward, you can see that the wave action and activity increases. Now we're up here at 60 hours. So this is basically Wednesday evening. And if you look at some of these waves, they're insane with the maximum wave height closing in on 100-foot waves near the core of the storm in and around where the eye wall is located. Big waves, folks. Huge. This is why I'm just begging people, stay out of the water this week. Now, as we go forward in time, as you can see, some of these waves, and we get into some really, really concerning values here for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, especially when we get into that Thursday afternoon time frame to where the onshore flow of the storm is heading in that general direction. Let me get a different color so it will show up. But as you can see, our little wind barbs and wave swells are heading almost right into the coastline as the winds rotate around the storm in a counterclockwise fashion. So at this point, this is when we would expect to see the maximum amount of wave force applied to the Outer Banks. Now that we've looked at that, let's take a look at the overall winds. So we have the Euro on the left and the GFS here on the right. This is just an estimation of wind speed at 10 meters. We would see higher gusts on top of this. So if we run this forward, we could see the wind starting to pick up. Here we are, maybe at around 60 hours. We're starting to see some of these, and all these wind speeds are in knots. So the moment that a yellow touches anything, that would be tropical storm force wind speeds. Any shade of yellow. Extreme light green would be tropical depression level winds. So as we continue to run this forward, right there, bang, 72 hours, the Euro is showing that we potentially could see sustained tropical storm force winds within, like the 40-mile-an-hour range, maybe gusts 50 plus in some stronger storms. Yes, Jonathan, has been doing a very good job on the intensity of the models, and when we get as we get less and less with the threat, I will pull up the model verification, and we can go through as the threat is reduced. We can spend time going in through the model verification and kind of showing which one performed the best and which one did not. So as you can see, some of these winds are also potentially forecast to spread up the East Coast as well. The GFS and its solution is a little bit further to the east, and as you could see, that keeps things a little bit lighter here on the coast of the Carolinas, but still definitely going to be quite breezy inland. You're going to know that this storm is going by, and seeing the potential for some showers and some storms on rain bands that are rotating around the system. So our maximum 10% wind speed, I was looking here, we're looking at, oh, and I do need to pull up, I do need to pull up a specific product. Give me 1 second, folks. And I'm just going to link this from my personal account because I'm kind of always logged in over here. And let's see here. And let that come up in the comments for me real quick. I know I'm delayed. I'm quite a few seconds ahead of everybody. There we go. Let's see. And why did that not link? No, there's no need to pin that. Okay, fine. You want to play that game with me? Play that game with me. You can go ahead and unlink that if you want, or unpin that, and you go ahead and unpin that if you would please, and just we'll just let's see here. I'm actually going to I'm going to delete that comment. All right. Okay, now let's get up here because this, I've been waiting all year to show this off to folks. This is the IDSS forecast points for hourly forecast here on the National Weather Service office. This thing is amazing. So let's take a look. This will give us our wind speed and stuff like that. We can scroll down and we're looking at our tropical storm force gusts beginning midnight on Thursday and lasting through 8 p.m., 9 p.m. here on Thursday as well. So that would be our gusts. Our sustained winds are 33 miles an hour is what is currently forecast. Thunderstorms associated and accompanying with it. And the amount of precipitation is not overly flood concerning. If we look at the sky cover, the overall sky cover, you could see where the clouds are expected to come through, but not necessarily being total cloud cover the entire time. Temperatures rise up during just before the event to around 90, and then on the day of the event, we'll stay a cloudy and balmy, just sticky and nasty heat index of 84 with an actual temperature of 80. 83 the day before, 90. So if we scroll back up, we are currently 1 mile south-southwest of Buxton, North Carolina on this. So if anybody... I took care of it, guys. If anybody needs any type of particular forecast with this, as you can see, we can get right down to the street level with this and put an hourly forecast on anybody this year. And I do know that we have a particular follower here that lives in this particular area here, so I'm going to pop her forecast up because I am concerned about her location. Wind gusts 33 miles an hour currently is what's forecasted, sustained in the low 20s. Not a lot of precipitation associated with it. Temperatures rebounding, getting up to 84 during the event. Feels like 89. Um, and as you could see, you could also take this forward, and they have it um, in multiple formats here. This is unbelievable sight. I was so thankful that they made this, because for folks that have watched us for years, you know that we always use these hourly forecasts to determine everything. And I know that I've been getting questions for the Wilmington area, so I'm going to go out here on the very, very coastline here, Wrightsville Beach, and we are going to take a look. Sustained gusts to around 30. There we go. We got a 30 with sustained in the low to mid 20s. Fully prepared. Yeah, I hope so. I hope they are ready, because hurricane season is unforgiving. So if anybody needs any particular local forecast for their area, just drop a zip code or a city name there in the chat portion, and I will be more than happy to look it up for you. So let's get back to, we've got reconnaissance to cover. They're currently taking off with mission number 3. I don't know what we're doing here. This might be upper level sounding. It's unknown at this point in time. But they are flying up here quite high. So above the 500 millibar level. So granted, it's easier to fly up higher, but I'm wondering if this is going to be low level or upper level. We also have another mission that is heading off into the direction of Erin. And we have another mission that this just completed just a little while ago. And as you could see, it was a low-level reconnaissance mission flying up in front of the storm, where it is forecast to go, to gather some of this data for the 0Z models tonight, to really, really potentially fine-tune the forecast as much as possible to see what kind of impacts could be on points further north. And as we could see, they dropped a large array of dropsons throughout this northern quadrant here and northwestern portion of the storm, where they are expecting Erin to track over the next 12-24 hours or so. We had a mission earlier today that did a good amount of reading, but this one is also currently ongoing, and this is an upper level dropson mission. So a lot of data is being fed into the models tonight. So hopefully we will get a little bit of a fine tune and be able to better prepare for, and better understand the potential impacts for folks here in the eastern portions of North Carolina and Bermuda, potentially. Uh-oh. Your duck suit is gone. Oh. That ain't gonna take long. Yeah, well, yeah. Jonathan's duck suit is gone, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. How long do you think it's going to be before you get a duck suit now, sir? So, as we could see, oh, you're welcome. As we could see, the spaghetti plots here on the most recent snapshot, we've definitely got a very, very large consensus. 2 outliers off to the left still, but for the most part, we've got a really good consensus. Hopefully, this 48-hour and 72-hour track spread will be refined just a little bit when we get those zero Z runs and all of this new dropson data that is being dropped. And folks, I'm not going to lie to you. They've got all types of new dropsons, and some of them dropsons might not be the dropsons. What we see is probably the ones that just drop straight down. What they have, oh no, there's a whole bunch of new little like drone dropsons and everything, and I would imagine that they potentially hit this with one of their newer forms of dropson and drone combined technology. So, uh-oh. Yep. Yeah, you might have told me, but I didn't tell everybody out here on a live stream, Jonathan. So now it's going to be something to where everybody is going to be like, uh-oh, Ducky needs a suit. So, looking at the University of Wisconsin, this is the products that were mentioned there in the forecaster's discussion. 124 knots, 117, 931 millibars, 948, 971, 931. We're going to get reconnaissance in there shortly. Probability just a little under 50% for our eye wall replacement cycle of another sort. As we can also see, the precipitable water that is also being drawn up, and even some of that precipitable water down here into the main development region associated with our area of interest across the tropical Atlantic. If I scroll off of that and show everybody this, you will see the double eye wall feature and then the overall attempt at expansion of the eye again. So there could have been, we see the moat here on the left as well. There could have been another attempt at an eye wall replacement cycle. It is kind of unknown at this time. Taking a look at the model trends, we're going to go through this rather quickly because they haven't really adjusted much. The GFS has been slightly ticking to the west, and as we could see, the euro has shifted to the west with this most last run. The most recent runs, all of them were pretty much right on top of one another, so it'll be interesting to see if that bounces back. The UK Met has been steadily shifting to the left as we go through. The CMC has also been shifting to the left in response to the westward jogs of our forecast, or well, just of Erin alone. Now, the H-Wharf, as we could see, the H-Wharf has been performing quite well. Really hasn't had any wild swings or anything. The X's are pretty well on. It's missed it a little bit, and all the models did, but the H-Wharf has been rather close, and the H-Wharf is also calling for this to maintain category 4 status over the next 24 to 36 hours, then start to slowly reducing the intensity, the maximum intensity of the storm, but again trading that in for overall size. The HMON has swung back from the back from the west back to the east with its 12Z run. As you can see here, kind of buried all within one another there. And the HMON is also calling for about the same length of time in intensity and then slow weakening. Halves A, as you could see, a little bit of a westerly jog here, but not a lot. A very tight clustered forecast track, again, has been performing quite well. Its intensity forecast, as you could see, does want to potentially pop this back up to a category 5, but that looks highly unlikely with the shear that it is currently dealing with and the clouded over eye that we are seeing. Now, if we wake up in the morning and that thing has a very clear eye and has contracted the eye, then you may see maximum winds get up that high again. But overall, it is highly, highly unlikely. Halves B is shifting a little bit more to the left, but is in almost kind of lockstep with halves A, to where we've unfortunately swung this out to around 75 degrees west. And at that point, we now have the Carolinas in a watch scenario. Halves B does not bring this back to Category 5 status, does have potentially a little bit more intensification, maybe back up to 150, 155 miles an hour, and then slowly trading that energy in for overall size. The TC coamps, as you could see, this has been shifting more and more to the left over time and to the west, and it is also calling for maintaining of Category 4 strength through the next at least 24 hours, then slowly drifting off over time. Our consensus model has not shifted a lot at all, running maybe at about 74 degrees to the west at its most westward point, and then a very tight and rapid run out to the open waters of the Atlantic there, with no increase in future intensification and a slow trade-in of energy from maximum speed to maximum size. The TCVN and the HCCA, if you take a look here, there's not a lot of difference within the first 48 hours in that track. But when we get up into, potentially Atlantic Canada, they've been kind of bouncing back and forth. So it'll be interesting to see what we have there. And also with the intensity for the consensus model, a steady trade-off there of wind to energy. The official forecast track from the National Hurricane Center has been drifting a little bit to the left, but with the last couple runs, not so much. Maybe just a little bit here between the 48 and 72 hour mark, but it is just a few miles. But unfortunately, those just a few miles mean a lot when we're dealing with a storm of this size. Overall intensity to maintain through the next 12 hours and begin to taper off, trading that wind energy in for size. Taking a look at the models. Now, I have here this only pushed out to 7 days tonight. And the reason that I want to show this is because this has Erin kind of in and out of the screen. But if I zoom into the southwestern Atlantic, what we see is the potential of our next wave here with a couple different camps. And the Euro, this is the Euro legacy. If we get land interactions, it is likely to keep everything weak. That would then allow it to slip a little further to the west and potentially get off into areas where we wouldn't want to see it. The majority of the ensembling, though, has it coming up and turning out. And this is a terrible color for this. Let's do this. Has it coming up and following kind of in the footsteps of Erin. So there is quite a few of these ensemble members that are kind of tucked within here. But again, we don't have a full complement of 50 ensemble members calling for development either. That's not there. So let me zoom back out and show everybody that, yes, we have that there. But what kind of, it may not show up right away, and I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about it. At the same day 7 mark, you see these lines right here emanating from the United States with a few circles right here, denoting a potential low pressure system that would help to keep the whatever high pressure out here would try to build back, this would at least keep a door open to the north. So a lot of uncertainty though, folks. I cannot stress this enough. We don't even have an invest tag on this yet. All right, and I will show you kind of what it looks like. The Euro AI model is all in basically on following Erin. You've only got two ensemble members that slip, with some circles here coming off of the east coast of the United States. Okay? Now, I'm not going to push this out any further than 7 days tonight because I don't really need to. The GEFS is a little bit of a different story. The GEFS has it a little bit further to the south, has some land interactions, and then that allows things to slip a little bit further to the west. If I go to 9 days, as you can see, there is quite a bit in and around the Bahama region, and a few of them do slip into the Gulf of Mexico. Land interaction will be critical. If there is land interaction and degradation of the overall, whatever was there, say a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm, then it potentially could weaken it, and the energy along could just continue to carry along on the low level winds and not necessarily follow in Erin's footsteps. And Earth Null will help show that. So a quick look at the Euro or the Google DeepMind, and let me turn on everything so we get it all here. And we're going to bring this out to about this point right here. And we're going to highlight this box denoting our next wave. And as you can see, the Google DeepMind is pretty much all in, similar to the Euro AI, and even their other model as well. They're basically like right on top of one another with the Google DeepMind and then their original Weather Next generational model. So the blue and the green are basically stacked on top of one another, which are the Google models. These orange ones represent the Euro ensembles. And as you can see, again, we do get a couple that could potentially slip. So, but each one of those, as you can see, has land interaction. All of them. The ones that slip. All right, we can highlight this one. It runs over the Dominican Republic. We highlight this one. It runs through the islands, runs over Haiti, and then gets real close to the mountains there in southern Cuba, southeastern Cuba, and then over Havana in that region. So it needs land interaction potentially to and be on the south side of development for it. Right now, what the models are calling for it to slip. It's not saying that this is a forecast by any means, but that's kind of the way that everything is looking at this time. So let me go ahead and show you what we're looking at. So this is Earth Null GFS run when we go out forward in time. As you can see, we have a very large and broad area of rotation out here associated with our area of interest on the outlook. This area here, as you can see, even if we come up in height, is extremely, extremely large. All right, the overall center of circulation is massive, and it would need to tighten down considerably to become a bona fide tropical cyclone. This is why, with this broad area of rotation, this is why we do not have an area of invest tagged to this. So, first off, we're going to we'll zoom out one, and we'll try to do these simultaneously because Erin and this other thing could potentially be connected. So we're going to come up, well, this is the 700 millibar level. As you could see, um, right now, that shallow storm is running along these level winds, 850, about a mile up, 2 miles up with the 700 millibar. But then, as you can see, we have the change with height at the 500 millibar level. This is approximately 3.5 miles above the ocean surface. We have our high pressure here, and Erin is running into this gap. All right, that's not a question. We have our other disturbance or tropical wave out here, and it's really more orientated like this at this point. That wave is going to need to kind of rotate at the surface, rotate over, stand up, and then potentially roll over on itself. And that would then begin to really tighten up the center of circulation on that. So what I'm going to do at the 500 millibar level, we're going to go forward 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you will see this is 48 hours into the future. High pressure dominating out here. These waves are going to be running along the southern periphery of the high pressure ridge here, with Erin basically blocking out the entire western side of this. Now, I'm going to flip this over to the waves to show everybody that, yes, Earth-Null does show waves, and just look at the amount of wave action that this thing is responsible for waves. I'm going to draw it. All of this, and outside of the screen as well, plus points northward. That all of that will be associated with the swells generated from Erin. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So, as we can see, we still have our waves moving across the basin. 1, 2, 3. Look what happens to this high pressure. Now, it is right about this point in time that we're looking at the potential for possible development. If this were to develop at this point in time, it's going to potentially want to take this track because of the fact that Erin has basically crushed the western side of the high pressure back. All right, now I'm going to run this forward again, and as you can see, the high potentially wants to try to build back, but remember what we said with the trough feature as this is starting to turn, plus another little short wave of energy right there getting ready to emanate off. And then we have another area coming as well. So let me erase that. And then we'll run this. Now keep in mind, the GFS puts this a lot further south. If this were to develop a little bit further north, you can see clearly where that gap is. As long as, if this is located up here, this is going that way. The GFS is the only one that keeps it further to the south on its deterministic operational run. Okay, let's go ahead and move on from Earth-Null. And we'll get into the dust. We'll let that hit play. This is another factor with this wave that we've got back here that is currently highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. There is going to be some Saharan dust out there present that could interfere and be an impediment for development. If we take a look at our high pressures, Euro on the upper left, Euro Legacy on the upper left, we have the Euro AI in the upper right and the GFS in the lower left. This is the 500 millibar height, and if we continue to run this forward, you will notice that the Euro AI and the Euro itself, the Euro pretty much just kills this wave coming through. The GFS drags it through the islands and then tries to develop it in the southwestern Bahamas off the coast of Miami. But the Euro AI, it's gone. It's up there and it's disappeared. And then we don't really see much behind that. But I don't trust these models when we go out that far, because waves will continue to emanate from the African mainland and it is getting into peak season. So our wind shear, Euro on the left, GFS on the right. If we take a look here and we run this forward, the Euro has absolutely lost its mind, talking about that it's going to deepen considerably again. Let's hope that's not the case. And as you can see here, with an extreme low value wind field, the Euro is still drifting further and further to the left. So that's one of the reasons why reconnaissance missions have gone out this afternoon to get a drop and a ton of soundings to try to get the Euro to potentially in agreement with the GFS, or unfortunately get the GFS in agreement with the Euro, because they're calling for it to really tighten that circulation back up, and that this northwesterly shear doesn't last long enough and it creates its own environment again and then gets help to be ventilated by the overall jet stream itself. Still staying well offshore, but potentially becoming a much more formidable system with the pressures dropping way down like that again. All right, our nightly look at the Madden-Julian oscillation, as you could see here, we're firmly into phase 3 now. So as it will continue to move across the planet from west to east. Our activity, unfortunately, folks, we still got a long way to go. We're somewhere in, I'd say, probably about this range right here. So the big portion of the hurricane season is yet to be upon us. So we don't want to deal with that, but unfortunately, that is what reality is. Okay, for the database, if you guys need anything for the Bahamas, getting down there, Turks and Caicos, anything like that, this is tied to the Facebook page. Please feel free. North America tab, you will find all direct links to official meteorological sites. Looking out, jumping out into our other basins here tonight, the Eastern Pacific and the Western Pacific. As you can see, I don't have all the way back up against the islands there, or not the islands, but Central America. But regardless, no tropical cyclone activity is anticipated for the Eastern or Central Pacific over the next 7 days. Getting out here to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, the final advisory on Tropical Depression 17W as it has moved inland and causing just an absolute deluge of rain, which is kind of the last thing that these folks need. But it is that time of year with the monsoon trough and just the regular monsoon itself. So these systems are dumping a considerable amount of rain, and it is unfortunate, but the flooding is going to continue. 92W, as you could see here, a potential area of interest that has a high chance of development over the next 24 hours. And Invest 90W that has a medium chance of development over the next 24 hours. If we take a look at the cyclone formation graphic, the potential formation of the tropical cyclone here, located within this red box. So we may get it up there near Kadena and cause some inclement weather with a formation of a tropical cyclone. All right, we get our new Global Tropics Hazards Outlook tomorrow. So that'll be the last time we see this graphic. Next week, We will get this area down here in the bottom box. We'll transition up. We'll see if any updates take place for that. And then we'll get the new box, which will then cover up till climatological peak of hurricane season. So it'll be very interesting to see what week 3 shows us. All right, everybody, and this is September 1st through the 10th. So I'll be very interested to see what the basin looks like as we go forward. This is the points of origin from 1851 to 2024, and 264 points of origin for tropical cyclones over that period of 174 years. So quite a bit of activity is anticipated over the first 10 days of September. October. I don't like October. Let me see. Is we got the 18Z yet? No, we do not. I've been doing things here on the back side, trying to get an idea of exactly what Hurricane Erin is doing. No, Vinny. No, it doesn't. All right, everybody. I don't see a lot for questions. We still have mandatory evacuations for folks out here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Please follow your local officials and evacuate if told to do so. So with that, everybody, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off tonight. Please make sure that you follow your local National Weather Service office for localized information to your specific area, and keep in touch with the National Hurricane Center, especially if you are in the tropical storm watch area there into the eastern portions of North Carolina. Definitely check back in with the National Hurricane Center in the morning. If we see that this thing is getting a little bit too uncomfortably close to land, we will increase live stream coverage and try to be there as this event continues to unfold. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central here on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great night, everybody.